What do you do when Judge Franz C. Gull won't grant you a Franks memorandum that you requested 3 times? You write your own. Hi, and welcome to our Friday evening edition of True Crime and Wine Couple. We are Mary and Peter. Grab your wine, join us, and we're going to talk about 2 recent Delphi murder filings. The first filing was filed on April 5th, and the title of this filing is a real mouthful. It is Defense's Reply to Prosecution's Response to Third Franks Memorandum. And this document begins by making 8 points, which will later be highlighted in the document, and Peter will be talking about those a little bit more. They're further explained through the body of this document. It's 18 pages long. And the defense outlines their rationale for getting their Franks hearing. And they basically write their own, and they outline what their own Franks hearing would look like. So one of the first points for the defense's Franks hearing that they're granting to themselves is that in the 2017 videotaped interview of Sarah Carbaugh, the defense is correct in claiming she never said bloody when describing the man on the road. And she also described the jacket as being tan, not blue. So that was the first discrepancy. And according to the defense, because of this, the court therefore finds that Liggett provided false information in a search warrant, and that would affect the timeline of the warrant. The next point was about the testimony of Betsy Blair, and she described seeing a man on the bridge, and she described him as having brown, poofy hair and being in his 20s. Neither of those details describes Richard Allen. She also described a vehicle that was not black and resembled a 1965 Mercury with sharp angles. Now, I don't know about you, but I've seen a lot of Ford Focus vehicles, and they look nothing like a 1965 Mercury.
Nothing at all. No, not even close.
So, do with that what you will. They also claim, the defense also claims that had Judge Diener known these false facts and these omitted statements, that he never would have signed the warrant, which obviously was what got Richard Allen incarcerated. So that's the intro, basically, to the defense's own Franks memorandum. Pete's going to go over some of the other points.
The next section of the document covers Jerry Holman's deposition on August 10th of 2023. And this is going to entail that Purdue professor, the mysterious Purdue professor. If you remember back from the original Franks memorandum, and this was one thing that I really did focus in on that, is how could a renowned professor from a major university file a report and nobody knows who it is? They had no clue, or at least they claimed they had no clue. But in his deposition on August 10th, Jerry Holman claims that the Purdue professor stated, and this is a quote, "It was not Odinism or any cult worshiping that would have conducted the crime." So that was Jerry Holman's claim. Now the defense has been asking for the identity of this professor for some time. And they were asking, so we're going back into August of 2023, they were asking for that identity throughout the month of August, early in September, who exactly this professor is. Slick Nick responded to the defense on September 6th of 2023 and stated, "As stated before, we are trying to identify the Purdue professor, but have had no luck yet. Detective Holman reached out to the FBI, the Purdue Police Department, and he hasn't gotten a response back yet. But we will continue our endeavors, but we may not be able to identify him or her." So then, in a report by Detective Holman on September 22nd of 2023, Holman admitted that the Purdue police had informed him that the professor's name might be Turco. Okay. Now, Holman knew this information somewhere between August 12th and August 14th of 2023. He also stated in his report that he did inform Nick McClelland that he possibly has identified the professor and that his name might be Turco. So Slick Nick told him to go meet with him, verify that it was him, that he was the one that did the report. So that's what Holman did. Now, the defense never did receive this report until October 4th of 2023. Can't make this up. Now, as we know, the professor's name we know now is Jeffrey Turco, and he was deposed by the defense on March 21st of 2024. And the defense specifically asked him, "Sir, did you say the sticks were not Odinism or any type of cult worshiping?" Turco responded, "That was not an hypothesis that I was asked to weigh in on in 2017 and certainly would have declined to do so." Now, the most interesting part of this is that in the report that Turco had written back in 2017, the very first paragraph of that report, and I'm going to quote, the argument that these markings, the sticks, constituted an inscription inspired by Norse ruins or modern recreation thereof is quite plausible. Which is pretty much exactly the opposite of what Holman is claiming. It's just insane.
You know what's playing in my head? I've been through the desert. I'm a professor with no name. I keep thinking of that America song. And we're not making light of this, but this is ridiculous. These girls need justice and they need to get the dude.
Yes.
Stop messing around. Get your life together. The state of Indiana
The state of
and
Indiana.
the authorities of Delphi.
Law enforcement, Nick McClelland, Judge Gull.
I mean, the dude's a professor. Like, oh, your 8-year-old granddaughter could go on the Purdue website and look the dude up.
Exactly. I mean, I understand. Purdue University, it's a big university. There's probably hundreds or thousands of professors. It's not like he was an English professor or a
Right.
math professor where there's multiple people. This is a very specified.
And what? And so what? So
How hard
what?
would it be to find them?
You're gonna find the guy. It's gonna come out. The truth always comes out. I don't know why they're playing these games.
And that's what it seems like. It seems like they're playing games.
And then this is the problem with this. And we don't support Richard Allen either way, unless if he's innocent, we totally support him, but we won't know until the trial.
Exactly.
But the problem is that when you do these things, you don't get the right guy. Or guys, and you'll get into that later, the guys thing, right?
Right.
Yeah, so it's just ridiculous.
And also I think the main theme of this whole memorandum was that Nick McClelland, law enforcement, have just been lying or giving false information or not handing over information to the point where they can't trust anything they get from him or
I
anything
don't
that he
blame
says.
them, would you?
So they don't know what is true, what's not true, what he has, what he doesn't have, what he's presenting, what he's not presenting. That was pretty much the basis of this whole 18-page memorandum, that they just can't trust anything that's coming out of law enforcement in the state of Indiana, and that they're lying, they're withholding evidence. It's just insane.
The only thing I could think of why they would do these things is because they expected Richard Allen to confess. Because then if it's kind of like the Watts case, okay? If Richard Allen were to confess, all this other stuff goes away.
Yes.
Just like with Watts, all the stuff with NK went away because he confessed. And that's the only reason I would think that you could get away with this stuff. Because you know that if this is going to trial, and I think by now they should understand that Baldwin Rosie and their attorney Hennessy are not playing here.
No.
This is, you know what I mean? But they're playing.
Are they playing or are they incompetent? And we just don't know.
Well, come on, he had the report. Slick Nick must have had the report that had Turco on it. Somebody had a report with Turco.
Yes.
So that to me is a game.
But well, you say that they had the report.
That's true.
But according to this,
I know.
Holman had to contact the Purdue Police Department and have them investigate and try to figure out who this guy is. And they're like, oh, his name might be Turco. That's what they came back with. And that's how they tracked the guy down.
And once again, this is our
So what, his
opinion.
name's not on the report? I don't
This
get
is
that.
our opinion. If we state something from the document, that's fact, or fact according to the document. And this
Fact,
other
yes,
stuff is our
fact
opinion
according to the
the
document.
document. Because if McClelland's calling them liars and they're calling McClelland a liar, like, you don't know who to believe
You
here.
have no idea. No. The next section was all about Tony Liggett. And apparently, Tony Liggett swore under oath that only one man, Richard Allen, could have committed these crimes. However, Tony Liggett's associate, Toby Lazenby, also swore under oath that Tony Liggett agreed with him that more than one person had to have been involved. They really better get their act together before they get on the stand. And even this is they're swearing under oath. Are they going to be able to be held in contempt or lying under oath or anything like that?
Did anybody else notice the Tony and Toby?
Yes.
That will be interested when they're reading that in court.
Mhm.
Guaranteed they mess that up in court. Tony and Toby, that's
Tony and Toby.
sounds like a TV show, like a sitcom. Tony and Toby, the sitcom.
Okay, so now the biggest part of the whole memorandum had to do with all of the geofencing evidence. Now, the geofencing is where they made a map and they identified all the different phones that pinged inside of that map area around the crime scene. And they provided that evidence to the defense on October 6th of 2023. Now, the defense is claiming that they should have received that evidence no later than December 14th of 2022. So they received it almost a year later. Now that, again, that's the claim of the defense. Now I don't know if that is the actual discovery rules or not, but that's what they're claiming.
Who knows? It could be anybody's guess.
Anybody's guess, exactly. Now they say that they're trying to analyze this data, but they're only lawyers. They are not geofencing experts, and as of now, the court still has not given them the money to hire experts to go through all of this data.
And we should say that they were collecting. There was kind of a GoFundMe
Yes.
that the Matas and Dave Hennessy had put up, and then it got hacked.
Of
And
course
then,
it did.
Then there was
It's
something
Delphi, of course it got hacked.
Then there was something on Reddit that Hennessy was taking your personal check. I have no idea, but yeah. So
This is the most insane trial. No, we haven't gotten to the trial yet. It's just
No.
The insane, most
Lead
insane
up.
case. The lead up to a trial, yeah.
this is the longest, most insane foreplay in the history of trials ever.
So the defense has been asking Slick Nick to identify who put the maps together, who his experts were, and Nick McClelland responded to the defense, refusing to hand over that information, stating that it was not his job to provide that information. It kind of is his job,
It's
isn't it?
discoverable.
Exactly.
Everybody gets the discovery, including us, when this case is
Right.
over.
So Slick Nick has not really turned anything over to the defense, but the funny thing is, in Nick's response to the Frank's memorandum, he sort of gave everything away. Now, I don't know if one hand is not watching the other, or he's just stupid.
And we should
I
say
really
that
don't.
that was the document that was posted before this.
Right,
This is
exactly.
their response.
This is their response to his
him.
response.
But his response was to their response, and now they're
he
responding
gave-
to his response.
And he kept giving everything away in his response. So in his response motion, Slick Nick claims that he actually has 3 geofencing experts that he may use. But he still has not identified which expert put the map together. And that's really what the defense is looking for. Who put this map together? Now, he does claim, Slick Nick claims, that he received information from one law enforcement officer who analyzed all the data. And as the defense claims, that sort of provides proof that he knows who the expert's name is. Right?
That's in there too?
That's in there too.
Oh my goodness.
So the other interesting thing is when they put that map together, there were multiple phone numbers that were pinging inside of that area.
Right.
But for some reason, they only focused on 3.
And there are more than 3, but
There's
focused
more
on
than 3, but they're only focusing on 3. Why that, I don't know.
I'm assuming they were people of interest, I would
Yes.
think. I mean, that's my assumption, but.
Right. So now, again, this is all coming from Nick's response, which was filed on April 3rd of 2024, so just 9 days ago. In his response, Nick claims that the owners of those 3 phones were identified, they were interviewed, and they were ultimately dismissed as suspects.
And that's discoverable as well. But they don't give that to the defense?
No, this is the first time they're hearing about it. In his response. That's what I'm saying. Why is he putting this in his response if he's claiming whatever?
And he was so rude to them. He basically called them idiots who didn't know anything about geofencing. Now, here's something.
And they say, yeah, we're lawyers. We're not geofencing experts.
And that's what I had said to you when we were having the conversation about it. I mean, even basic, I teach a forensics class that is dual enrollment. So my students that are seniors in high school get college credit for the forensics class, and we barely touch on geofencing. So that would be, low level, like a freshman college course.
Right, exactly.
That doesn't even talk much about it. So how are they supposed to know? And I'm assuming that Nick McClean, who can't even write a document, doesn't know much about geofencing. Oh wait, he has the money for the expert. My bad.
Yes,
Okay.
exactly. So the defense is just asking one simple question, and they put this right in the document. Who put the map together? That's all we want to know. Who put the map together? That's who we want to depose. So that was pretty much the whole document, all 18 pages. Those were the main points in there. They went through a lot of repeated things that were in there, but these were the main points. And like I said, the whole document is pretty much saying, how can we trust anything that these people are telling us or giving us with their past actions?
And I think that's a safe assumption to make.
Yeah, well, yeah. Yeah.
All right, well, it gets better because we've got another document for you that just came out yesterday. The second document filed by the defense was filed on April 11th, and this document was called Richard Allen's Motion to Suppress. And this document claimed that Richard Allen's Fifth and Sixth Amendment rights were being violated. And this is how. On November 3rd of 2023, without a hearing or legal representation, Judge Diener signed a safekeeping order transferring Richard Allen to the Indiana Department of Corrections. From there, Allen was then sent to the Westville Correctional Facility, which is a state facility, not a county facility. And there was no mental health assessment done upon intake, so they had no baseline for his mental health. While at Westville, Allen was detained in an isolation cell, and inmates were posted outside his door to log his activities, statements, and behaviors. About 5 months after this, officials deliberately pulled the inmates and replaced them with guards because the inmates were talking to Richard Allen about his crimes and his charges, and then they were making phone calls to their families and friends and loved ones and relaying this information. In addition to being kept in this facility, Allen spent most of his time at Westville on suicide watch, which the defense claims was not warranted. And this restricted Richard Allen's even more at the facility. Some of these restrictions included a metal bed, a caveman suicide suit, cuffs and shackles when being moved about the facility, no table or chair in the cell, constant surveillance. There was a videographer who followed him 24/7. There was a light on in the cell 24/7 because it was one of these suicide isolation cells. He had no privacy, He met with his wife and couldn't even get up and get a drink of water because he was handcuffed the whole time. Also, he was tased for simply not removing his hands from his cell port where they would put his food and things in, so he left his hands there. But he was in the cell and he was secure, but they tased him anyway. They also claim that Richard Allen suffered from depression, and when he was taken to the facility, his meds were not given consistently. And then they also wanted to force him to take this other medication, and he wouldn't take it, so then they had to have a hearing separate to that, and they didn't really say what the outcome was for that. I guess we'll find out at trial. The prison guards had the odonism patches, and they were wearing them despite the policy that said that they couldn't, and then they got the tattoos, which we've talked about that. And then they also claim that while incarcerated, Allen engaged in psychotic behavior. It's pretty graphic. The technical term for it is encopresis, and we're not going to go into details, but it is definitely psychologically the mark of a very disturbed individual. Some of these activities that he did with the encopresis. So that was basically, in a nutshell, the second document.
Right.
Now, what I hear is they need to file these things, because I've heard the criticism, why don't they just focus on the trial? But I guess these things need to be filed because after the fact...
If he's convicted.
Right, for an appeal and things like that. So that was
Which
the
makes
second
sense.
document.
Yeah, that
it
makes
does make
sense.
sense to file them, yeah.
It's interesting that Judge Diener was named in this one too.
Yeah. But I would guess you'd have to name him, and now he
No,
can be called.
Yeah, that's where I was going with that.
Mhm.
He's been named twice.
Right.
If you were them, would you call him to the stand?
Absolutely.
I would too.
Absolutely.
Just to mess with everybody.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just to screw
Right.
the system. I would.
Well, you want to throw your weight around, and what's a better way to throw your weight around than calling a judge?
Right.
You know. So what do you think? What's your take on all this?
My take on all this is that Tony Liggett is really shady.
Tony Liggett, the real Slim Shady. I don't
Because-
know if he's
Well,
slim, but
if you think about it, going back to the other document,
Yeah.
he was in there multiple times,
Mhm.
apparently making false statements, lying under oath,
Mhm.
making contradictory statements, and then now he's mentioned in this one that he's the one that actually recommended
Mhm.
Richard Allen to be transferred to a maximum security prison. What's going on with Tony Liggett?
And
Is my
why
question.
does Diener just do whatever Tony Liggett wants?
Right.
And now we know that it was Tony Liggett's election that prompted Richard Allen's arrest.
Yes.
And that's really interesting too, because I hate to compare this to the Watts case, but in the Watts case there was something similar.
Right.
And if you don't understand incarceration, in the case of Richard Allen, this man is being held in his cell for 23 hours a day, and even more on the suicide watch. They said with the suicide watch he got 4 hours recreation a week, so that's only 4 days out of 7.
Right. And it's only an hour, so it's 4
It's an
hours
hour,
a
right.
week.
Right, exactly. Yeah, that's what he got. Oh, and the recreation room, this is interesting too. The recreation room had nowhere for him to walk or run. There was an exercise bike and a pull-up bar. That's all he was given to work out on.
Okay then.
Yeah. And I don't think he could work out in his cell because they mentioned that the toilet in the cell was 24 inches from the bed.
Right.
And it's, it's that crappy metal sink and toilet, so if this guy's not guilty, it's just,
Yeah, exactly.
it's horrible. We want to mention that Sunday, we'll be going live if you want to hang out with us. We're going to talk about our feelings about some of the true crime this week, the Slender Man hearing. We're going to talk about Nikolai Mew, which we did a video, and that
Yes,
was
we did.
very interesting.
Yes.
You'll get to meet the dogs, and you can hang out with us, drink wine, and talk about crime. You can leave comments. We'll respond to your comments. I don't know if we know how to do it yet, so you can call in. We're going to try. We're going to try to do
This
that.
is our first one, so bear with
This
us.
is our first live. So, and now the wine. Do you have
Now
any
the
other
wine.
commentary? Just bet onto the wine?
Do I have any other commentary? I think I did, now I forget what it was. So we'll
Sorry.
go on to the wine.
You could comment down the live on
Yes, I
Sunday.
will.
Oh, and it's also Peter's birthday on Sunday, so it'd be Peter's birthday bash.
Yes.
You get to hang out with us.
So our wine today is from Bull Run Vineyards down in Virginia.
It's called Resilience, and it's a Viognier.
There you go.
I'm probably messing that up, but it is definitely lightly oaked.
Yeah, that was the first thing I noticed.
The minute I had the oak.
I noticed some oak in there as
And
well.
it's a drinkable oak. Normally I can't drink oak.
Right.
Should we talk about this winery?
Oh, we have to. It's my
Okay.
favorite winery.
It's beautiful. Go ahead, you talk about it since you love it so much.
If you are into history, if you're into the Civil War, as you know, Bull Run was one of the big battles during the Civil War. They have, it just really is an amazing facility, and they will take you on a tour, and they have a lot of bunkers. They have a lot of different things from the Civil War. They have a little museum where they have a lot of artifacts. It's just a really cool place.
It was very interesting to find out about when they were in battle, because I didn't know that battle was basically lay around until there was a fight.
Yeah.
And then in the winter, they just bunkered down.
Yep.
And I did not know that. Thanks, I probably didn't pay really close attention. History was always my worst subject. So yeah, that was really cool to hear about and that guide we had was fantastic.
Yeah, she was really good.
That guy was, and then we had joined we liked their wine so much, right? We joined their
During the wine
club. So that's probably how we got something oaked.
Yes, it just came in the wine club. Yeah.
Because normally we don't drink oak, but this is, and they have a very are they the one with a very lightly oaked Chardonnay that's just
Yeah.
amazing?
Yes.
And that's the only oak Chardonnay I will drink, and that's
Yeah, their
very
Chardonnay is
too.
very good.
But it's a beautiful property. If you are in Virginia or you visit Virginia, there are so many wineries, and I never knew about all the wineries in Virginia. I went on a trip to Nashville and Memphis and passed all those and saw winery, and I'm used to going the other way, heading towards New York and seeing, there's a lot of wineries there.
Up in the
But
Finger
we
Lakes,
were
right.
shocked by how many wineries were in Virginia, and they're not crowded. Here in Pennsylvania, they are so crowded. In the Finger Lakes, they're crowded on like the weekends.
Yeah, and holidays.
And holidays and the fall.
The fall,
Yeah.
right.
In the summer, if you take like a week off in the summer and go to during the weekdays, it's great. You can
Yeah.
go to anyone you want. But the nice thing about the ones in Virginia is there's like nobody there.
No,
Nothing was
we were
crowded.
there a couple times at different times of the year, and not one single winery did we run into.
And
a crowd.
weekends weren't crowded. It
No.
was beautiful. So if you ever get to Virginia, there's so many wine, and we liked the wine a lot.
And they have different wines down there than what we're used to up here.
Right.
They have different grapes, so the wines are. I mean, they have some of the same repeats, but they also have different ones which we never tasted before, which are very good.
And I know the Catawba grape is a big thing in Virginia. My friend that I work with went to Catawba College in Virginia, and it's super sweet. I'm a
Yeah.
fan of Catawba. It's
But
like
there's
drinking.
also that Petit Mensing that
Yes.
we had never even heard of before until we went down there.
Wasn't it Barbara who said the Petit Mensing sounded delicious?
Yes.
Yes, that was amazing. Yeah,
Yeah.
they have really good grapes there.
Yeah.
They do. It's a wonderful place, and there's tons of wineries. And we liked the wineries near there the best, right? Near Bull Run.
Yeah.
That was the
That
best.
area seemed a
It
little
had
bit
the
better.
best. Yeah, that was a very pretty area. So we are True Crime and Wine Couple. We hope you enjoyed our Delphi update. Like if you do, please subscribe. We're looking to get to 1,000, and we hope to see you on Sunday for our live, where we hope to be able to let you call in if you want to talk to us. Peter has a whole day figured out.
Yes, I do.
We are True Crime and Wine Couple, and we'll see you Sunday for Peter's birthday.